Hello everyone! I know it has been a long time since I did the build on my Star Trek Borg costume, and there are a lot of things that I learned from the build and from the actual cosplay, like playing the Borg, that I just wanted to relate to you. Now these are new things. I'm a newbie at this, and so a lot of you might know some of these things, but I just wanted to tell you what I learned during this whole process. So this is my top 10 list. So number 10 is that people will bump you. It gets very, very crowded. And even though the time that I learned this was about 10 minutes into the Comic-Con, and a guy hit me with a stroller, and three of my pieces from my arm came off. Now, they were just cosmetic, and so it was mostly okay. But even still, they weren't put on very well. I should have put them on a lot stronger because, bumps do happen. I should have known that. And yeah, so you just have to be aware of that as you're building your costume and as you're actually playing it. Number 9 is that hot glue is good for a lot of things, but not for everything. The worst thing that I used my hot glue for, or the worst failing, was where I tried to put Velcro onto foam, onto the back side of the foam. And I just glued it on, used a lot of glue, and it seemed to have worked for about a day and a half or 2 days. And then suddenly it just peeled off without warning. Now, fortunately, this was not during the actual play itself, but so I caught it early. But hot glue is not good for that. It is really good though for coating electronics. So like LEDs and other stuff like that, where you have your very fragile wires onto there, stuff that might be moving around. You put hot glue over that as an extra bit of insulation and sealant, and it works great for keeping everything secure and not bending. You do have to be careful though, because hot glue is extremely hot. Don't use the high setting, use the low setting when you're using your electronics, because I've had LEDs melt from the heat of a hot glue gun. And yeah, I found that out the hard way, especially when I was making the eye laser. I burned out a couple of LEDs that way. So you got to be, hot glue is good for some things, but you have to be careful with it. Number 8 is pockets. Make pockets for things like your phone, unless it's part of your cosplay, like it was for me. Your money, your ID, your keys, and such like that. Because it's always better to carry your own stuff instead of having your bag friend carry it for you. Then you always have it on you, and you don't need to find them in order to, buy that little thing that you wanted or something. And it's just generally better to be independent, right? Number 7 is always do a practice piece before you do it on your actual costume. What I mean is, do a test piece. This is a little bit of blade that I made for my what I was practicing for making my bat'leth. And as you can see here, I practiced a couple of different techniques, different grinding, and got the one that I wanted. But I did a proper full test piece to make sure that it was just what I wanted. So that was the formation, the gluing, the priming, and the painting, and everything. And that's why I have a really sweet looking bat'leth back there. And then if you as long as you do your test piece, you know that you have not failed on your actual piece. So. Number 6 is do electric wiring properly, or electric and electronic wiring properly. What I mean by this is don't take shortcuts with your wire. Like, don't just say, oh, this is a piece of wire, it'll work for it, because it might not. If you use too big of a wire, too small of a wire, you never know what's going to happen. Do your wiring properly, because even in the Borg costume, even though my vocal modulator was too quiet, it wasn't powerful enough in the noise of the Comic-Con, that it didn't really matter too much that it wasn't working. But I did have a wiring failure because I used too thick of a wire, and something broke off, and I didn't have it for the rest of the con. So yeah, so make sure you do your wiring properly so you don't have any failures there. Number 5 is be able to put on your costume by yourself, if at all possible. There are some very, very big cosplays that people will need help with, but if you can, make sure that you can just put it all on yourself. If you'd watched the previous video, you'd seen that when I was putting on the costume, it was a lot in fast forward because I couldn't easily get it onto myself. I had wires attaching in the back and all sorts of things that I had to clip on that I couldn't really access properly because of the bulk of the costume. And it also, because I did have one eye covered, well, I couldn't see what I was doing for the most of the time. So yeah, make sure that you can put it on yourself. And if it is too complicated, maybe you should rethink it, or just make sure that you have someone else there with you while you're putting it on. And number 4 is do several dress rehearsals. I'm talking about full dress rehearsals of your entire costume. Sure, while I was building the Borg, I did, oh, the arm, well, that's great. Oh, the assimilation tubes, yeah, that would work. Oh, the helmet, yeah, this feels good. The armor, yeah, it's all good. But when you put it all on together, then you get the real feel of how your costume is actually going to work, if there's anything uncomfortable and such. Having the entire costume on for at least 20 minutes tells you a lot. It gives you a lot of information about how well it is going to perform. If pieces are going to fall off, if it's going to get extremely hot or even cold, I don't know. If there's going to be any areas on there that are chronically irritating, yeah, for example, in the arm, in order to secure my phone, I had just had, actually there's a grip that is holding my phone right now. I had wired it into the arm almost last minute, and there was a piece of metal sticking in, and it was rubbing right against my thumb, like right against right here. And because of that, after the first day, I was bleeding because of this thing rubbing up against me. My whole thumb was all red, and it was just horrible. Especially doing it the next day because I hadn't healed yet. I fixed it, but even still, it was very, very irritating. And you want to make sure that when you have your whole costume together, that nothing is going to be as irritating as that. Number 3 is fasten your parts securely. Again, with the arm, all I had to hold it on to my arm, like the piece, was my thumb. I had a little loop going around, and I held it with my thumb, and that's what I was doing. And I could turn it with it, and that's what I used to function the arm. But that's what I had to hold on to it too. Even when I had my arm down, I was holding the whole weight of the thing just with my thumb all day, and it got really, really sore. I should have had a band or something to attach it. So make sure that you fasten everything securely, so that you're not wasting your energy just holding your costume together when you could just be having a fun time playing it. Number 2 is again, be aware of the pressure points and bruising. So that's kind of like with your dress rehearsal, but just be very, very aware. I say it twice here because you really don't want anything that is going to bruise you and cause you pain, especially if you're going to a weekend Comic-Con and planning on wearing the same costume 2 or 3 days in a row, because it's just going to be agony the next time that you wear it. So yeah, I have another point here. Never cut off circulation. No, that was my thumb. My thumb had a lot of didn't have very much circulation in there, and so it was pretty tough. But I managed. I learned a lot from this one. And my number 1, it's always last. The number 1, the very best point. And here's the funny thing: is that half of us already knew this. Guys, we didn't know this. Yoga pants are extremely comfortable. I hope a whole lot of you are laughing right now, especially the girls. It's like, yeah, we do that. Yeah, they're really comfortable. Why do you think we wear them all the time? Any chance that we get? Yes. Yoga pants are very, very comfortable, guys. And as long as you can get over the fact that, they're just for girls, and use them in your costume, it's so comfortable. It was the most comfortable part of my entire costume, both when I played Deadpool and the Borg. I used 2 different pairs for that. And it's like this great big secret that the girls are hiding from us. And that, what? It's okay. You go to a thrift store and, hardly anyone really looks at you when you're buying women's yoga pants. Pink University. Yeah, that's what I had gotten for this Borg costume. And so they were very, very comfortable. And I am not ashamed to say it. And I'm going to be buying more of them for as many costumes as I can. Just because it's funny. I'm like that too anyway. So, yeah, that's my that's my list. And I hope you guys enjoyed hearing about my failures and all the things that I've learned from this. We are going to Comic Expo in Calgary in this April. And I am actually making costumes for my daughters. I don't know if you guys can recognize this. Can you guess who that is? It's not painted yet. It's going to be yellow. This is Gogo Tamago from Big Hero 6. And this is actually the armor for Honey Lemon. And I'm doing those two characters for my daughters. I'm gonna be the bad guy, just have a mask on, because I don't have that much time to put into another costume like Baymax. But yeah, it's gonna be great fun. I'll be putting up some more videos of my future cosplays, and so please subscribe and get the notifications when I put up new videos. And thank you guys very much for watching. Please put a like, and I'll see you in the next video.